The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. Have you ever really watched a field of sunflowers? There's something almost mystical about them. All day long, they track the sun across the sky, their faces tilted up in pure devotion. And when night comes and their beloved sun disappears below the horizon, they bow their heads low, as if genuinely grieving. But here's what gets me. They never doubt for a second that morning will come again. They understand something we humans constantly forget, that darkness and light, they're just taking turns. Now imagine if we could trust our own lives that same way. What if the heartbreak that's crushing you right now, that grief that feels like it might actually swallow you whole, that moment when you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back, what if none of that was your ending? What if it was just winter? A season of necessary withering before you find your strength again, before you rise up and finally burst into full, glorious bloom. This is the raw and radiant journey at the heart of The Sun and Her Flowers, the second poetry collection from Rupi Kaur, a writer who's basically set the literary world on fire. If her name rings a bell, it's because she's not just publishing poems, she's created a movement. Her debut book, Milk and Honey, didn't just sell well. It became a cultural earthquake, moving millions of copies and camping out on the New York Times bestseller list for over a year. She took poetry, something many people thought was collecting dust in high school English classes, and turned it into a lifeline for millions. With The Sun and Her Flowers, Kaur pushes even further. This book is unflinching, almost fearless in how it examines what happens when we completely fall apart, and then, slowly, painstakingly, rebuild ourselves into something even more beautiful. The collection flows through 5 distinct movements, mirroring the very life cycle of a flower: wilting, falling, rooting, rising, and blooming. Today, we're going to walk through this garden together. We'll sit with the brutal cold of a shattered heart, face down the shadows of self-doubt, and dig into the difficult work of unearthing our own foundations. But I promise you something. By the time we reach the end of this path, you won't just understand what makes this book so special. You'll see a map for your own healing. You'll discover that even after the most devastating goodbyes, the sun keeps its promise to return, and you, just like those flowers, can learn to bloom all over again. Our journey begins in that achingly familiar place where so many of our hardest stories start, the moment love ends. The opening movement is called wilting, and honestly, could there be a more perfect word for what a breaking heart feels like? It's not some dramatic explosion. It's slower than that, more insidious, like watching something precious drain away drop by drop. Kaur writes, "On the last day of love, my heart cracked inside my body." Notice she doesn't say it shattered or exploded. It cracked, quietly, internally, while the whole world just kept spinning like nothing cosmic had just ended. And what do we do when we're in this state? Exactly what the narrator does. We become a little unhinged. She spends whole nights casting spells, bargaining with the universe, desperately trying to rewind time like it's a film reel she can somehow control. The pain becomes so overwhelming that even breathing feels pointless. Sunlight feels like an insult. She draws every curtain, locks every door, and transforms her entire home into a mausoleum for the relationship that died. But this isn't just about being sad. This is about losing yourself completely. There's this devastatingly simple line that just guts me every time. I could be anything, in the world, but I wanted to be his. When you've wrapped your entire identity around another person, when they leave, it's like they've erased you. You're left wandering around as a ghost in your own life. Your mind becomes this exhausting battlefield, One minute you're absolutely convinced they're coming back, the next you're furious they ever existed. You whisper, "I am okay," like a mantra, then immediately feel rage bubbling up, then find yourself hissing, "I hate you," into the darkness, before finally admitting the most painful truth: I can't move on. It's a cycle that leaves you completely depleted, unable to even get out of bed, pinching your own skin just to confirm you still exist. This wilting stage is marked by this painful, almost pathetic loyalty to a memory. The narrator can't even glance at another person without feeling like she's betraying him. What if he comes back? How would she explain where her hands have been? It's a prison constructed entirely from hope, and inside this prison everything becomes a cruel reminder. The hummingbirds outside her window, the rain tapping on glass. Suddenly the entire world seems designed to represent his absence, and she finds herself feeling this sharp, irrational jealousy toward the wind itself, because at least the wind still gets to touch him. But wilting also brings a brutal clarity. As days blur into weeks, the narrator starts to realize something that somehow makes the pain even worse. The love she's mourning might never have really existed in the first place. She confesses, "Day by day I realize / everything I miss about you / was never there in the first place / the person I fell in love with was a mirage." This is such a crucial turning point. The pain is absolutely real, but its source might have been a fantasy she constructed. And with that gut punch of awareness, the journey turns inward. Wilting gives way to something even darker: falling. Falling is where we move from the pain of losing someone else to the even more terrifying pain of losing yourself. If wilting was the initial shock of the wound, falling is when the infection sets in and spreads. This is the depression stage, the numbness, the confrontation with every shadow you've been running from. Kaur describes it with chilling simplicity. Depression is a shadow living inside me. It's not visiting anymore, it's moved in, it's redecorated. When she wakes up, the sun seems to plummet to the ground, and flowers behead themselves. The world's vibrancy has been drained away, like someone turned down the saturation on reality itself. This internal collapse forces her to confront her relationship with her own body, her own worth. In this heartbreaking dialogue with herself, she asks her body, "Why are you so unkind to me?" And the answer comes back cold and cutting: "'Cause you don't look like them." This is where the breakup reveals a much older wound. This constant crushing pressure to measure up, to be beautiful enough. She catches herself focusing obsessively on everything she doesn't have, then deciding that's what beauty actually is. It's this cruel mental trap we fall into. You can hear 1,000 compliments, and they slide right off, but one insult can demolish your entire sense of self. This section is where Kaur shows real courage, diving into the deepest traumas. She uses the metaphor of a home to describe sexual assault, and it's devastating in its simplicity. The story starts on an ordinary Thursday. She's cleaning her apartment, arranging flowers in a vase, adorning herself the way she adorned her space. Her body is her sanctuary, her private territory. But that night, someone she trusts, a family friend, violates that sanctuary. He doesn't drive her home, he takes her to a road that leads nowhere. Her body, her home, is broken into, windows smashed, doors kicked off their hinges. He takes everything. She describes the horror of being transformed from a person into an object, 110 pounds of fresh meat, to be consumed. After the assault, her home never feels like hers again. It's hollow, rotting, covered in dust. She writes, "When you broke into my home / it never felt like mine again." This trauma doesn't just stay in the past. It poisons everything that comes after. Every lover who touches her later feels like him. Panic attacks transform her bedroom into a psychiatric ward. For years, she carries this guilt and shame, torturing herself with questions about what she could have done differently. But healing begins with this profound realization: the sun can't stop the storm from coming, the tree can't stop the axe. She cannot blame herself for violence done to her. It's not her shame to carry. The poem ends with her reclaiming her space, airing out her home, scrubbing it clean, placing fresh flowers on the table, washing yesterday out of her hair. She's taking her home back. This is what falling really means. It's about hitting rock bottom, then discovering there's another basement below that. It's confronting not just heartbreak, but depression, body hatred, sexual trauma, and the crushing weight of believing you're fundamentally unlovable. It's that moment when you realize no rope is dropping down, no hand is reaching for you, and you think, what if nothing wants me, because I do not want me? And it's from this absolute lowest point that the only direction left is up. But to rise, you need something solid beneath you. You need foundation. This is where the journey pivots, leading us into the third movement, rooting. How do you even begin to heal when you're this shattered? How do you rebuild an internal home that's been demolished? Rupi Kaur's answer is beautiful in its wisdom. You go backward. You dig down deep into the soil of your own history. The rooting stage is about finding the strength to grow again by understanding where you came from. This part of the collection shifts focus from personal anguish to a much larger story. The story of family, heritage, the immigrant experience. The narrator realizes her life didn't start with her. She's standing on foundations built by those who came before. She writes, "They have no idea what it is like, to lose home at the risk of, never finding home again, to have your entire life, split between two lands, and become the bridge between two countries." This is her parents' story. This is the story of millions who left everything familiar, crossed oceans with nothing but hope for children they hadn't even had yet. And it wasn't some romantic adventure. She talks about how her mother still searches for traces of her homeland in foreign films and the international food aisle, trying to catch a scent, a glimpse of what she left behind. She imagines her parents stepping off the plane into a new world with 2 university degrees that meant nothing, and a mother tongue that was suddenly considered broken. They had nothing but each other's warmth to fight off the cold. They turned a single suitcase into an entire life. This section overflows with reverence for parental sacrifice. In one of the most moving poems, she writes a list of everything she wishes she could have told her mother on her wedding day. It's advice born from a daughter's love and hindsight's clarity. She would have said, "You are allowed to say no." She would have warned her that her husband's family would pressure her to abort her pregnancy because the baby was a girl, and she would have told her to lock the relatives out and swallow the key. She would have begged her to bring her journals and paintings across the ocean, to hold on to the identity she had before she became someone's wife and mother. Most painfully, she acknowledges the cost of this sacrifice. She tells her mother, "You can't speak English fluently or operate a computer or cell phone, we did that to you, it is not your fault." She sees clearly now that her mother hasn't belonged to herself for decades, worked to the bone to give her children chances she never had. It's such a stunning act of love and recognition. Through exploring these roots, the narrator finds new perspective. Her own pain, as vast as it feels, is one chapter in a much larger epic of survival, resilience, and love. Her parents faced loneliness, poverty, and rejection, Yet they built an entire world for their children. Their strength flows into her strength. Their story becomes her anchor. She writes, "My mother sacrificed her dreams, so I could dream." This is the transformative power of rooting. It's about honoring the past, not as a burden dragging you down, but as rich soil feeding you. It's understanding that your voice is the offspring of two countries colliding. It's seeing poetry in your parents' broken English, recognizing it not as a deficit, but as proof of their incredible journey. Her mother's accent is thick like honey, and it's the last piece of home she still carries. By grounding herself in this history, the narrator finds the stability she needs to start growing again. The pain of the past, both personal and ancestral, isn't erased, but it's integrated. It becomes part of the fabric of who she is. She is ready to face the world again, not as a wilting flower, but as a seed planted deep in rich soil. And from this place of strength, she's finally ready for the fourth movement, rising. After grounding herself in the strength of her roots, the narrator is ready to turn her face toward the sun once more. The rising stage is about the cautious, tentative, beautiful process of healing and daring to open your heart again. It's not a dramatic leap. It's more like learning to walk after being bedridden, slow, deliberate, occasionally painful. This new beginning is filled with fear. After enduring so much pain, how do you trust kindness? Kaur asks, how do I welcome in kindness, when I have only practiced, spreading my legs for the terrifying? When your entire understanding of love has been tangled up with violence and chaos, how do you accept someone whose touch is gentle? Someone whose edges are soft instead of razor sharp? It's a complete unlearning, teaching herself that she actually deserves healthy love. She makes a conscious choice. I will welcome a partner, who is my equal. This is worlds away from the woman in the wilting phase, who just wanted to be his. Now she wants partnership, not erasure. One of the most satisfying moments comes when she unexpectedly runs into her ex at a coffee shop. For years, she'd been dreading this moment, imagining her heart would abandon her, her legs would turn to stone. But when she actually sees him, nothing happens. He's just some regular guy. She realizes, with this surge of quiet triumph, that her body must have cleansed itself of him long ago. She didn't even consciously try. Her body, exhausted by her wallowing, had done the work for her. She's wearing no makeup, her hair's a mess, but she feels like a gleaming siren. She's finally truly free. This freedom creates space for a new connection. This new love is different. It's built on electricity and conversation, not need and desperation. It's two people who are complete on their own, and together they become two suns. There's this beautiful checklist she creates, asking the questions that actually matter. 20 years from now, is this person going to be, someone I still laugh with? She's not distracted by surface charm anymore. She wants to know if their values align, if they'll still be conquering the world together when they're old. The title poem appears here, perfectly capturing this new love. He asks her, "What is it with you and sunflowers?" And she explains that sunflowers worship the sun. When it rises, they rise. When it sets, they bow in mourning. Then she looks at him and says, "That is what the sun does to those flowers, it's what you do to me." He is her sun, the warmth that allows her to unfold. But here's what's crucial. This rising isn't about replacing one person with another. It's about arriving at a place of healing where you're ready for a partnership that energizes instead of drains you. It's learning to trust again, not just another person, but yourself. It's the bridge between the pain of the past and the possibility of a brighter future. But the journey isn't complete yet. The final stage isn't about finding love in another person. It's about finding it in its purest, most powerful form within yourself. This brings us to the final, triumphant movement, blooming. The final chapter, blooming, is where everything converges. It's the moment the flower, having survived the wilting, the falling, the rooting, and the rising, finally opens itself fully to the world, beautiful, complete, whole. This stage isn't about romantic love. It's about radical self-love and understanding your own power. The central revelation is this: it was when I stopped searching for home within others and lifted the foundations of home within myself, I found there were no roots more intimate, than those between a mind and body, that have decided to be whole. This is the destination of the entire journey. Home isn't a person or a place. It's a state of being. It's looking down at your own body and whispering, "There is no home like you." From this place of wholeness, her perspective expands dramatically. She sees herself as part of a continuum, a legacy. She writes, "I stand on the sacrifices of a million women before me, thinking, what can I do, to make this mountain taller, so the women after me, can see farther." Her life isn't just about her own survival or happiness anymore. It's about lifting up the women who will come after her. This section pulses with fierce empowerment. She reclaims every part of herself that the world told her was wrong. Her unibrow isn't a flaw. It's, quote, "the bridging of two worlds." Her brown skin isn't something to lighten. It's a blessing, so beautiful that flowers might mistake her for the earth itself. She challenges the entire beauty industry that profits from insecurity, declaring their concept of beauty is manufactured, but she is not. She embraces her own timeline, refusing the lie that women have expiration dates. She declares her 20s were just the warm-up, that the real show begins at 50. She is timeless. This blooming is also about sisterhood, about recognizing that women aren't each other's competition. She sees how the world throws women into a pit to fight for scraps of space and attention. The real work, she understands, is recognizing we're not enemies. We're allies. The goal is lifting each other up, shattering the glass ceiling together. She ends with a beautiful vision for her future daughter. When her daughter is still in her belly, she'll speak to her as if she's already changed the world. Her daughter will be born onto a red carpet, fully equipped with the knowledge that she's capable of anything. The journey that began in the desolate cemetery of a broken heart ends in a vibrant, blooming garden of self-love, community, and purpose. The narrator has learned what the sunflowers knew all along. Life is a cycle. Pain is temporary. The sun always returns, and after every winter comes the promise of spring. The book closes with a simple, powerful declaration that feels like a deep, contented breath. There is nothing left to worry about, the sun and her flowers are here. As we reach the end of our walk through the sun and her flowers, it's worth pausing to consider why this collection has touched millions of people around the world. Rupi Kaur has this rare gift for taking the most complex, painful human experiences, heartbreak, trauma, depression, the search for identity, and distilling them into words that feel both simple and profoundly true. The book's greatest strength is that central metaphor, the life cycle of a flower. It's such a powerful and comforting framework for understanding our own lives. It teaches us that the painful periods, the wilting and the falling, aren't failures. They're not the end of your story. They're natural, necessary seasons. You can't bloom without first being a seed buried in darkness. You can't rise without first finding your roots. This idea gives us permission to be patient with ourselves, to trust the process of our own growth, even when it feels painfully slow. What's also incredibly powerful is how the journey moves from the deeply personal to the universal. The book starts with one heartbreak, one person's pain that feels utterly unique and isolating. But as the story unfolds, it connects that individual pain to a much larger human story, the story of family, of immigration, of women's struggles throughout history. It reminds us that our individual lives are threads in a beautiful, complex tapestry. We're not alone in our suffering, and we're not alone in our strength. So how can we take the wisdom of this book and plant it in the garden of our own lives? I'd like to offer 3 simple actions. First, honor your roots. We all have a story that started long before we were born. Take some time this week to connect with that story. Call a parent, a grandparent, or an elder in your family and ask them to tell you about a challenge they faced when they were younger. Really listen to their story of resilience. Understanding the sacrifices and struggles of those who came before you is a powerful way to ground yourself in your own strength. Second, find your home within. The book teaches us that the most important relationship we'll ever have is with ourselves. Take a moment each day to thank your body. It doesn't matter what it looks like or what society tells you about it. It's the only home you'll ever truly have. As Kaur writes, look down at your body /whisper there is no home like you. Treat it with the kindness it deserves. And third, embrace your season, whatever season you're in right now. Whether you're wilting from a recent loss, falling into difficult times, rooting yourself in your past, rising with new hope, or blooming in your full power, know that it's exactly where you need to be. Don't rush the process. Trust that, like the flowers, you're on a journey of growth. The sun is patient, and it will be there when you're ready to rise. That was a summary of The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. We've explored the main path of this incredible journey today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The real magic happens when you decide to travel there yourself. The true power of this book lives in those quiet moments, when a single line or simple drawing speaks directly to a part of you that you thought no one else could possibly understand. This summary is a doorway. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something in you, I encourage you to walk through it. Picking up this book isn't just about reading. It's about giving yourself an experience that can help you heal, grow, and recognize the beautiful, resilient flower that you are. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Billionaire's Bookshelf. It helps our community grow and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's continue to learn and grow together.